A Theist's Guide to Converting Atheists. What would convince an atheist that a religion is true? In several years of debating atheism and theism, I have made an observation. Ask any believer what would convince him he was mistaken and persuade him to leave his religion and become an atheist, and if you get a response, it will almost always be, "Nothing. I have faith in my God." Although such people may well exist, I personally have yet to meet a theist who would acknowledge even the possibility that his belief was in error. Many theists, by their own admission, structure their beliefs so that no evidence could possibly disprove them. In short, they are closed-minded, and have been taught to be closed-minded. In light of this, it's ironic that atheists are often accused of being the closed-minded ones. Fundamentalists very frequently claim that we have hardened hearts, we are dogmatic and irrational, and that we reject God based on preconceived bias. Such claims result from psychological projection, incapable of coping with the fact that there are some people who generally do not believe in their God. These theists simply deny that such people exist, and instead insist that everyone thinks the same way they do. Therefore, people who reach different conclusions than them must have some secret, ulterior motive for not believing. This is truly ridiculous, but unfortunately some people really believe it. Thus, in a spirit of proving that the atheist's mind is not closed, I have assembled a list of what I would accept as proof that a given religion is true. Also included are things that I would accept as circumstantial evidence of a particular religion's truth, and things that would not be acceptable to me as proof of anything. While I do not claim to speak for all atheists, I would confidently say that any religion that could produce one of the things from the list would probably gain a great number of converts. To be fair, I invite all theists to respond by preparing a list of things that they would accept as proof that atheism is true. If any theist prepares such a list, please post it. The first category deals with things that would absolutely convince me of the truth of a particular religion. If shown any of these, I would convert on the spot. Verified, specific prophecies that could not have been contrived. If the Bible, for example, said, "On the first day of the first month in the year 2010, the pillars of the earth will shake, and a western part of the new world will be lost to the sea," and then, on January 1st, 2010, a tremendous earthquake sends California to the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, I would become a believer. No points are awarded under any of the following conditions. If the prophecy is vague, unclear, or garbled, like Nostradamus' ramblings, for example, it must be detailed, specific, and unambiguous in its prediction and wording. If the prophecy is trivial, anyone could predict that it will be cold next winter, or that this drought, or plague, or flood will eventually subside. The prophecy must predict something surprising, unlikely, or unique. If the prophecy is obviously contrived for other reasons, no official seer or court astrologer ever predicted that the king he worked for would be a brutal, evil tyrant who ruined the country. If the prophecy is self-fulfilling, i.e., if the mere fact that the prophecy exists could cause people to make it come true. The Jewish people returned to their homeland in Israel just as the Bible said they would. But this isn't a genuine prediction. They did it because the Bible said they would. The predicted event can't be one that people could stage. If the prophecy predicts an event that already happened, and the writing of the prophecy itself cannot be shown to have preceded the event. If the prophecy predicts an event that already happened, and the happening of that event can't be verified by independent evidence. For example, Christian apologists claim that Jesus fulfilled many Old Testament prophecies, but the authors of the New Testament obviously had access to those prophecies. What would have prevented them from writing their story to conform to them? The extra-biblical evidence for the existence of Jesus is so scanty that it is impossible to disprove such a proposal. And finally, if the prophecy is the lone success among 1,000 failures, anyone can throw prophecies against a wall until one sticks. The book or other source from which it comes must have at least a decently good record on other predictions. These conditions are reasonable, and are only what would be expected of a true prophet with a genuine gift. Scientific knowledge in holy books that was not available at the time. If the Bible or any other religious text contained some piece of knowledge that the people of the time couldn't possibly have known, but that is now known to be true, that would be highly convincing. A passage about the atomic theory of matter or the heliocentric solar system would be interesting, but not conclusive, since the Greeks proposed those ideas long ago. That was independent of any claim to divine relation. A mention of the theory of evolution would have been impressive. A reference to the germ theory of disease or the laws of electromagnetism would also have been compelling. But what would be indisputable proof would be an explanation of a truly modern theory of physics, such as relativity or quantum mechanics. Not just something that the people of the time couldn't possibly have known, but something so counterintuitive that the odds against guessing at it correctly would be staggering. Just think, what if Jesus had said something like this: "My disciples, I say unto thee that energy is mass times the speed of light multiplied unto itself." Of course, the people of the time would have been baffled, but just imagine how many souls it would have saved today. As with the prophecy item, there must be independent verification that the piece of knowledge was written in text that existed well before it was actually discovered by science. Miraculous occurrences, especially if brought about through prayer. If cities condemned as sinful by preachers tended to explode in flames for no apparent reason, if glowing auras of holy light sometimes appeared around believers to protect them from harm, or if atheists, and only atheists, were regularly struck by lightning, this would be compelling proof. But it wouldn't have to be so dramatic. Even minor, but objectively verifiable miracles would do, especially if they could be invoked by prayer. If a hospital did a double-blind study to determine if intercessory prayer helps the sick, and it was discovered that only the patients prayed for by members of a certain religion experienced a dramatic, statistically significant increase in recovery rate, and this result could be repeated and confirmed, I would convert. This one shouldn't be so hard, especially for the Christians. After all, Jesus told them that they would be able to work miracles through prayer. Any direct manifestation of the divine. I'm not that hard to convert. I'll be happy to believe in God if He talks to me in person, as long as He does it in a way that I could be sure that I was not hallucinating. For example, in the presence of multiple reliable witnesses, none of which are in a highly emotional or otherwise altered state. Where are the voices speaking out of burning bushes or out of thin air? In the Old Testament times, Moses saw God so often he knew Him on a first-name basis. Why doesn't He do this today? Aliens who believe in the exact same religion. Although this one is just a bit off the wall, if humanity was to contact an extraterrestrial civilization, and if said extraterrestrials had a religion that was exactly like a religion on Earth, I would become a believer. It would raise some interesting theological problems for Christians. Does Jesus have to travel to every planet in the universe individually, dying and being resurrected on each one?